The number one thing you have to figure out if you want a peaceful life is everyone is busy doing things we don't necessarily enjoy. The number one thing you have to figure out if you want a peaceful life is what makes you happy. When's the last time you stopped to ask yourself the question, what makes you happy? Everyone's different. Believe it or not everyone wants to jet set around the world, meeting tons of famous people and clubbing every single night. Some of us like to read and snuggle up with a good book and a glass of wine. Some of us like our cozy houses. Some of us like to watch nature and the sunrise with a good cup of coffee. Some of us just want to hike in the woods with our dog. Some of us enjoy the slow and peaceful life. So ask yourself, if you didn't have to work, what would you do with your time? Hi, I'm Julie. Welcome back to my channel, and let's discuss the top 3 things that are keeping you from living a slow and peaceful life, and one bonus fear that's holding you back, but more on that later. The number one thing that holds you back from living a slow and peaceful life is work. We work too much doing things we don't enjoy. One remedy for this is to change your job. And yes, you can do this. I know you have a million excuses why you can't, but this is actually one of the number one tactics that people use to increase their salary. You can leverage your current job to go somewhere else and ask for a raise or maybe even a promotion. Or you could try something different. Maybe you have a desk job because that's what makes the most money in your field, but it's not necessarily what makes you happy. Try getting a job working outside. You could also cut back on your hours to make more time for the things you love. And I know a lot of Americans are going to be threatened by this, but I want you to examine why you think you can't cut back on work. Is it bills? Have you thought about cutting back on your bills? Would living in a smaller house really make you less happy? Would driving a cheaper car really make you less happy? Do you even need to own a car? Some of you could walk or ride bikes to work. We've been riding bikes everywhere recently, and I love it. It gives you an endorphin rush, and when you get there, you're all energized and fired up. The next thing you could do is become more efficient, and I know this one's really tough because you're probably really tired and you feel like you're doing the maximum you can do right now. The standard answer for this is to tell you all those productivity tips, tell you to stop scrolling on social media and stop watching TV and movies. But it's important here to examine your motivations. What activities do you actually enjoy? What would you want to spend your time doing if you didn't have to spend all your time working or on other obligations? When I really stop to think about what makes me happy, it's spending time with my friends and family, reading, hiking, biking, and skiing. And we all have to accept the fact that there are only so many hours in the day. So if we want to do the things we truly enjoy, we may have to cut back on other things, including screen time or other obligations. And maybe it's fear that's stopping you, but we'll talk about that more in a minute. The number 2 reason that you're not living a peaceful life is that you play too much. Do you have too many hobbies? Some of mine include reading, hiking, skiing, biking, working out, spending time with friends, socializing, volunteering. Sometimes it just all becomes too much and I get so worn out. The last couple of weekends, I've noticed I've had about 2 social events per day, and sometimes it can just be too much of a good thing. It's great to have hobbies, but whittle them down to ones that truly bring you joy. And remember, you don't have to do everything all the time. Sometimes I can just focus on hiking and yoga, and I don't have to bring equal focus to all my activities at once. And maybe you feel you don't have any hobbies. I get this too. I've been there. I remember when I had little kids at home and people would ask me what my hobbies were, and I was just like, going to the bathroom by myself and cooking meals no one eats. So I think we all go through phases where we feel like we're too busy in life and we don't have any quote unquote hobbies. And that's okay. There are seasons of life. Sometimes you're caring for someone else who needs you, whether it's a child or a parent or a family member. And life's not always going to be this way. Maybe you could make just a little bit of time to try one new hobby a week or even a month until you find something that brings you just a little bit of peace in your busy schedule. And sometimes it's your fear that's stopping you, but more on that in a second. The number 3 reason you're not living a slow and peaceful life is because people are taking advantage of you. If your spouse, boss, coworkers, or friends are dictating your schedule, that means you're not living a slow and peaceful life. People are taking advantage of you, and you need to learn to say no. I know you've heard it before, but no is a complete sentence. And if people are not respecting your boundaries, then they're not respecting you. And you have to accept that and move on from them. This one took me so many years to learn. It took me a long time to understand this one and realize that you're not always going to make everybody happy. Sometimes people are going to be mad at you. And that's okay, especially if you've given in to them a lot in the past. Learn to be okay with everyone not being happy with you and not liking you all the time. That's part of life. You're not for everyone, and everyone is not for you. And now for number 4, which I think is the top reason you are not living a slow and peaceful life. You're afraid of empty space. An empty calendar, a quiet house, etc. You may feel like empty space on the calendar means you're a loser. And that is not true. It means you're good at managing your time. You may be afraid to hear quiet in the house when nothing else is going on. If you're not scheduling time on your calendar for peace and rest, then you're probably not getting it. You need to schedule yourself some downtime, whether it's taking a nap on the weekend or sleeping in, or maybe just laying on the couch and watching this YouTube video. And while you're at it, would you mind liking and subscribing? And if you could leave me a comment down below, it would make me feel so good. Sometimes this gets discouraging and I just need to know you guys are still listening. So schedule yourself some downtime, even if you could be doing something more productive. This is not a productivity video. This is about living a life you love that brings you joy and stopping to smell the roses. In the immortal words of Ferris Bueller, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.